Welcome to The Explainer. We've got an absolutely fascinating one lined up for you today. We're talking about a literal masterclass in global franchise building. Supa Strikas, the global underdog to champion phenomenon. We're going to unpack exactly how a very specific local story didn't just, entertain a hometown crowd, but completely took over the globe across multiple mediums. Seriously, get ready, because we are taking an exciting dive into a genuinely massive franchise today.
Okay, let's dive into this. How exactly did a local comic book evolve into a 100-country football phenomenon? I mean, it is an unbelievable real-world underdog to champion journey. We're so used to seeing these explosive success stories pop up in Silicon Valley tech or massive Hollywood studios, right? But seeing it start in independent comic publishing and then jumping to animation, that is incredibly rare, and frankly, it's just thrilling to unpack.
Section 1. Meet the Supa Strikas.
To really grasp the sheer scale of this worldwide hit, we gotta look at the team itself first. So, the crucial point is, Supa Strikas is an incredibly popular soccer-themed comic and animated TV series all about a fictional underdog-turned-champion football team. And it's absolutely vital to recognize right out of the gate that we're not just talking about a single comic book here, or some one-off Saturday morning cartoon. No way. This is a massively successful, multi-tiered multimedia franchise centered entirely around one team's relentless drive to win the prestigious Super League.
So what exactly makes them so incredibly successful? Well, it's their franchise formula. They've absolutely nailed it. Look at how they combine your standard, expected sports themes, things like the value of teamwork and good sportsmanship, with elements you definitely wouldn't expect in a traditional soccer story. We are talking about fast-paced sports action mixed heavily with laugh-out-loud comedy and, get this, high-tech training gear. It's like a giant puzzle where all the pieces just fit perfectly together. This highly specific genre-blending formula is exactly what gives the whole franchise its incredible international appeal.
Moving right along to Section 2. South African comic origins.
Every massive global hit has a starting line, right? Let's move to a sea and see how this builds from its grassroots origins on the African continent. Honestly, it's a huge anomaly for an independent African comic to just completely bypass the traditional Western media gatekeepers and absolutely conquer global television. But that is exactly what went down here. Back in 2001, it was created in South Africa as a comic book. From there, just look at this rapid escalation. Every single month, it prints over 1 million copies globally. And it didn't stop there. It was adapted into a massive animated TV series that ran for 7 full seasons. It's basically a textbook example of how a super engaging core concept can just spread like wildfire across entirely different formats and borders.
Section 3. A global football phenomenon.
1 million. Let that sink in for a second. 1 million. That's how many comic copies are printed globally every single month. I mean, just imagine the logistics involved in that. The distribution networks, the physical trucks, and the sheer overwhelming fan demand you need to sustain a 1 million copy print run 12 times a year. It's mind-blowing. 16. We're talking 16 entirely different countries actively reading this comic. It totally transcended those local South African roots to capture the imaginations of readers across a whole multitude of international borders.
91, jumping straight over to the television side of the equation, the animated adaptation boasts an incredibly impressive 91 episodes across those 7 seasons we talked about. In the highly competitive, cutthroat world of television animation, hitting that sheer volume of episodes is a massive, highly sought-after achievement.
And finally, over 100. Over 100 countries broadcast the animated show. This number right here completely solidifies its absolute champion status. It isn't just a comic anymore, folks. It's a worldwide television staple recognized all over the globe.
And this brilliantly illustrates just how dominant Supa Strikas has actually become. We've got parallel massive success here, over 1 million comic copies a month across 16 countries, feeding straight into an animated juggernaut spanning 7 seasons and 91 episodes, broadcasting in over 100 countries. It's a dual-threat franchise. Both mediums literally feed into and amplify the success of the other one.
Section 4. Quest for the Trophy. But, raw data and broadcast numbers only really tell half the story. Why do audiences actually care so much? Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that Supa Strikas is basically a huge adventure story cleverly disguised as a sports show. Sure, the stories follow the main character Shakes and his teammates, but they are definitely not just practicing penalty kicks on a boring local field. They're traveling the globe. They're uncovering the literal roots of football, unlocking ancient secrets, and going toe-to-toe with these eccentric villains. It completely merges the thrills of a globe-trotting action-adventure directly with the passion of a high-stakes soccer match.
Yet, despite all the wild global adventures, the crazy ancient secrets, and those high-tech training gadgets, there's one central anchor holding the entire narrative together: their ultimate goal: beat their rivals and lift the prestigious Super League trophy. It all comes right back to that deeply universal appeal, an underdog striving, fighting, and pushing themselves to their absolute limits to make it to the very top. That is a motivational language everyone, in over 100 countries, fundamentally understands.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer. And now, I want to turn it over to you. What's your ultimate underdog to champion story? Whether it's a real-world sports team, some groundbreaking local business, or a media franchise like Supa Strikas that conquered the globe against all odds, there is just always something so deeply inspiring about that upward journey. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep exploring, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.